Hello, hope that you're doing well. Let's see my volume's on. Going to continue reading with Alice A. Bailey's Esoteric Psychology, Volume 1, and we are continuing on, finishing up actually the last part of certain questions and their answers. The third question, can the fact of the soul be proved? I'm going to really try and finish this section, and then we'll get into question number 4, which I'm really excited for. It's going to be about the back to the 7 rays, talking about specifically, where is it, of what value is it to know about the 7 rays. We built up a lot, but that question is going to be really helpful. And then question 5 is, what is the significance of the outstanding soul qualities such as sentiency, consciousness, awareness, and light? These are all really interesting. I don't know what's going on with my screen. So let me, as per usual. So let me share the screen this time, because last time I forgot to, or didn't get to it. All right, and jumping back up to where we were, which I think is about page 96. If you're following along in the text, this is on the publisher's website. Link is always in the description. Continuing on from here, the mystery of the ages. And I think that's it. Hope that you're all doing well. Get some water. All right. I'll splash that all over myself. That would have been super embarrassing. All right. Here we go. The mystery of the ages is on the verge of revelation, and through the revelation of the soul, that mystery which it veils will stand revealed. The scriptures of the world we know have ever prophesied that at the end of the age we shall see the revelation of that which is secret, and the emergence into the light of day of that which has hitherto been concealed and veiled. This is what we call the awakening. As above, so below. As people are awakening, so too is the planet, or the larger awakening happening. Individual awakenings and a larger awakening to basically whatever has been hidden coming to light. It's also part of the Scorpio, Pluto and Scorpio generations, and this generation being that which the people that are ruled by that energy, who actually enjoy digging deep and getting to the all the things that Scorpio represents, the hidden, the unconscious, that which is taboo, that which was previously like not discussed by the generations before, the Scorpionic generations before, where we're the children of those who felt like, oh, just kind of brush it under the rug. We're not really going to talk about the skeleton in the closet. So that's also why this is happening, which is why we look at those cycles in astrology and find that they are having an impact on our evolution. Remember, evolution in consciousness. This, our present cycle, is the end of the age, and the next 200 years will see the abolition of death as we now understand that great transition. This is talking about how we always talk about cycles within cycles within cycles. We have the Aquarian cycle, the greater celestial cycles, and then you have the different planetary cycles within that as well. I'll keep going. We got a lot to get through. So we're at the end of an age, and the next 200 years will see the abolition of death as we now understand that great transition, and the establishing of the fact of the soul's existence, the fact of it. The soul will be known as an entity, as the motivating impulse and the spiritual center back of all manifested forms. The next few decades, we'll see certain great beliefs substantiated. The work of Christ and his main mission 2,000 years ago was to demonstrate the divine possibilities and powers latent in every human being. The proclamation which he made to the effect that we were all sons of God and own one universal Father will, in the future, okay, let me read that clear. The proclamation which he made to the effect that we were all sons of God and own one universal Father will in the future no longer be regarded as a beautiful, mystical, and symbolic statement, but will be regarded as a scientific pronouncement. Powerful. Again, we're talking about how we look through those CIA case files and see that this stuff is being studied and repeated in the manner that we do deem most scientific inquiry, something that is testable and retestable and provable and demonstrable through a series of tested hypotheses. And so they're saying that this will also be seen as a scientific pronouncement. Our universal brotherhood and our essential immortality will be demonstrated and realized to be facts in nature. He came, he said, not to bring peace, but a sword. And esoterically, he has been the cosmic divider. Also pausing here to say that the sword, like that suit in tarot, because tarot is what we studied, the original flashcards for the occult, or the keepers of the knowledge, the gnosis. So the tarot cards were flashcards as we use to study today. It goes through the path of the hero's journey, the fool's journey, through the tarot card deck, and you're looking at the suit of swords. You have the major arcana, but you also have the minor arcana with the different suits, and the swords are representing truth, thoughts, emotion, mental energy. And so this is saying he came to bring a sword. He came to bring the truth. He came to bring the word. In the beginning of the Bible, God spoke the words. And that's what brought things into manifestation, talking about how thoughts manifest things. Our thoughts are powerful, and this can be scientifically proven through the manner of a person speaking. There's also scientific experiments. There was also a CIA case file that I didn't get back to that talked about a Russian demonstration where there was a conference, and they put test limits, and they had a cat in a little box, and they were playing, and there was a plant in another box, and they were playing music. We've done similar experiments here. Like we have words, you could put a label, I hate you, on a glass of water, or however the experiment goes. There's books on this. The things that we say to water change the formation of the water and the molecules and how it looks harmonious and how it looks chaotic based on what you're feeding it. Similarly with the music or the sounds that were being projected onto the cat and the plant in the Russian experiment had an impact on the cat and the plant. So it was saying not only do we receive from the plants are also being affected by us, animals, same thing, right? And so the sword, the word, the truth, all of this matters. And this is going to be scientifically proven in the coming age in cycles. And the Christed one, the messenger of the Christian faith, came to bring not peace, but a sword. An interesting thing here too, when we look at the words, because the words, right, there are spells, cursive. This is our spelling, the piece. What happens when we take something and we take it into pieces is when you actually break it apart. So it's interesting, like play on words that you find with different things. I don't think that he's saying that he didn't want to bring peace to the earth, but I think that the most important thing was to bring the sword, which is first you have to break things down to build it back up, right? We can't live on these false pretenses, false narratives, misunderstanding, or understanding. We move to understanding, overstanding, all these things, and then we can move forward. He's been the cosmic divider. Why? Because in establishing unity, he also makes a distinction between body and soul. Body and soul are, however, only two parts of one whole, and this must not be forgotten. In establishing the fact of the soul and its expression, the body, the totality emerges in completeness. We have to understand that we are first divided, we're separate entities, and until we unite, unity consciousness, that's only when we can step into our fullness and be who we are meant to be. Same way with connecting with the person around you and the people around you. If you don't know a person's full self, you're not really in union, right? You're not really in partnership. You aren't really at peace or at one. You're not in wholeness, as Saban Bomar says. You're not in wholeness, balance, and vibration, so you're getting a piece of a person. So I think I'll trust that's fine. I'll move on from there. right here. We have to learn how to emerge in our completeness. How will this revelation come? We enter here into the realm of foretelling and of provision, to which many have an objection on the ground that the thing of the moment is that which aids the soul's spiritual living. They feel that the holding out of promises of future help and revelation, and the encouragement in the aspirant of a happy speculation and an idle expectancy carry the seeds of danger, of static inertia, and of idle imaginings. So this is again saying, like, why is it that foretelling and prevision have been scorned on a public scale? Why do we not want to pacify the human heart with a knowing that we are living within cycles that can be predicted? Because in that awakening and that awareness, we can then also move within those cycles accordingly. Just like when you know that we're in a Mercury retrograde and the energy is going to be really pulling on you heavy to go backwards, or to, kind of return to something, a chapter that was actually closed, or whatever it may be. Or if you're having your computer glitches, because there's technology with Mercury and everything like that too, right? You're learning about what cycle or the time that you're in so you can move accordingly. So what if people knew about the times that were coming and they were able to maneuver through that with intelligence, with right activity, which is one of the 7 rays? Maybe that is what we didn't want. So it says, but so instead, to block that, we are told that having that type of expectancy carries a seed of danger. It'll make us be static, and we'll just be stuck in imaginings. This isn't about going and getting a tarot reading that says, oh, you're going to be wearing blue shoes when you meet the love of your life, so now for the rest of your days you're wearing those blue shoes because you're subconsciously trying to manifest that outcome. This isn't that. It's always deeper than that. We're not talking about misuse of divination. Let's make that clear in case it's not already. But where there is no vision, the people perish. You see that? But where there is no vision, the people perish. And so much has happened during the last 200 years, and so much has already been revealed, that we are provided with a firm basis for all our forward looking. Had the unfoldments of the 19th and 20th centuries in the departments of science and psychology alone been forecast to the thinkers of the world in the 16th century, how strange and impossible it would have all seemed to them. Catch that again. If we told the 16th century people about the science and psychological developments alone that we developed in the 19th and the 20th century, it would have seemed strange and impossible. So what we're trying to do is program ourselves for a future time when what we think to be impossible, humans working together, alternate forms of work and relationships, maybe using a different kind of currency since the current one has been corrupted, maybe different alternate styles of government and governance, all of these things. You think, oh, that's not going to happen before. We haven't seen the blueprint for that. This is the same thing we're talking about, which was 16th century thinking. Like, don't be a 16th century thinker while we're here planning for the 30th century, right? We need you to advance. Another fascinating thing to plug in here is that with this technology that we have, AI, some of these experiments that can be done, I did some experiments with different prompts and things like that, and what it was talking back to me the most about is the idea of integrating knowledge based on comparing, basically make it make sense, have a conversation with an old personality with someone that was alive in a different time period. So say you are having Elon Musk have a conversation with Aristotle to discuss this problem, and you give it that prompt. And these machines are learning these people's, they're scouring through all this data, and then it's able to spit out different points of view and things where we're merging and using the gnosis from different time periods and different timelines to create or advance our understanding of possible things. I would really love to do that with Bomar's actual civil AI technology, where he actually has it pumped with spiritual truth versus the chat GPT, all that stuff. So there's levels to this, and there's different opportunities. But what are the opportunities of using artificial intelligence for spiritual development. You can't just be scared of everything and say it's like evil, it's the devil. What you have to do is understand that the devil is in the details, just like the words that we're using. If we're not conscious of them, that is our inner devil, how we are harming or becoming toxic to ourselves and the people around us. How we use the tool is how we are affected, essentially, just like with tarot and yada, yada, yada. Use it to divine into other people's private lives, because you don't know if, like myself, I shield myself, right? I'm saying no one has permission to read me lest I give that person permission. So I go in and I do a transaction with a reader, or if I watch a video, it's like I'm trying to wait and see, like, are they going to read me? Like, only if that person says, I can't see something, they have a block, do I know that they're a legit reader, because it's like I have veiled my energy without permission, right? And that's something that you can do. Again, there's levels to this. There's understanding. There's things that we have to know when we're going into or embarking on this journey, the soul's journey, the fool's journey, right? You don't go in without all your tools. The magician card in the tarot, he has his sword, he has his wand, he has his cup, and he has his whatever pinnacle, right? You have all the tools that you need, all the elements, and then you prepare yourself for this walk as a fully combined being, your higher self with your lower self. You're not going through this like as a fool. The fool matures on the journey through learning, through the teachings, and applying the wisdom with pure intent. I think, oh yeah, so we were talking about the 16th century. Don't be a 16th century thinker. Long story long. Stranger than anything, I might hear prophecy to you, for we have already seen so much occur, and the testimony to the world of true being is accumulating so fast that we can no longer stand amazed at any occurrence. It's not time to be amazed at what we can accomplish anymore, because it's like we've already proven that we can accomplish the unthinkable. That's already been proven. Right now, it's just a matter of stopping, putting our own glass ceiling in place. It's time to start using the tools that are in front of us. Again, AI being one of them. Because if we're not using them, we have corporations doing it. And again, corporations are acting in their own self-interest, not acting in the people's interest. So it would behoove us to kind of learn how to use these tools for our own growth, advancement, freedom, education, etc. The fact of the soul will be brought to the racial recognition in many ways, and the revelation will come along so many lines that all types of minds will be satisfied. I shall indicate only a few. We have the psychics. The psychics of the world are increasing greatly in number, and the growing sensitivity to the race to impression is a case. Oh my God. Let me start over. The psychics of the world are increasing greatly in number, and the growing sensitivity of the race to impression, that means impressions of the unseen, just like we were looking at, the CIA is studying these people who can take these impressions and can be trained to receive these impressions. There's different levels of sensitivity, extrasensory perception, ESP, that each person has laid dormant. Just like it says, we were talking about the Bible, the Christian faith, saying that the Christed One was here to demonstrate the divine possibilities and powers laid latent in every human being, not certain human beings, those who are applying the wisdom or using the muscles in their mental capacity, their higher mind capacity. So they're increasing greatly in number, partly because they were being trained by our military, unbeknownst to us, and their growing insensitivity to the impression is causing rejoicing and danger. All over the world, aspirants are registering contacts hitherto unknown and seeing a phenomenal world usually hidden to them, and are generally becoming aware of an expansion of consciousness. This is also because we have people who are experimenting with substances. Now, Savan Palmer also talks about this in a great way, like his experience, how he was experimenting with substances when his system, his vessel was unclean. You hear people talk about a good trip and a bad trip. A lot of people have the shortcut, and I'm still mixed on my perspective of it. The shortcut of using a psychedelic substance to have that experience of shedding the ego, seeing that connectedness, because some people need that. If you have such a huge, deep barrier up of defensiveness, if you have huge or deep trauma or wounding that makes it hard for you to connect with people, some of the most profound experiences come from opening up your mind in that way to where those defenses are dropped for you using this artificial, or sorry, this natural but outside stimulant. Whereas it's not automatic, right? Some people could have a bad trip or a bad experience. It depends on the nature of your thoughts, because that's what's going to be mirror reflected back to you when you take that substance, right? You're being, the veil is dropping, and you're being introduced to yourself and to others in a very pure way, without all the pretense and the subtext and all that stuff. So whatever is the content of your mind could be scary. It could be ugly based on the food that you are consuming and whether you're blessing it, meaning taking it in with the intention you're purifying that for your body. You're preparing it for what you need to consume. Even if you're not eating like this pristine meal, because there's no criticism or judgment on what you eat. Wallace D. Wattles, The Science of Being Well, if I believe it or not, The Science of Being Well, he talks about how you can eat anything, but there's a science to eating things. Hold on just one second. Let me pause this. There's a science to eating things in a certain way that will be conducive to your... All right, sorry about that. Continuing on. So here again, we're talking about more people are waking up, more people are seeing the unseen, and it's causing a great deal of rejoicing, but equal measure, it's causing a great deal of danger. All over the world, aspirants are registering contacts hitherto unknown and seeing the phenomenal world that was previously hidden to them, and they're generally becoming aware of an expansion of consciousness. Your experience of whether that's positive or negative when you're taking in substances is going to be largely in part due to whatever work you need to do. People that, when you consume ayahuasca, that talk about having the physical effects of vomiting, or having the other end where you're basically eliminating all of your toxins. In the same way, you could do a fast or a liver cleanse and all that stuff. We'll see how much stuff we're just holding on to. And also addition to like Astro Queen Ella, which she says, like one of my favorite tarot readers, she talks about when you're backed up. And she's like, people that are just holding on to stuff, like their anger, your trauma, whoever hurt you, that victim mindset, who you're pissed off at, that's giving your power to the other person, like I say. And then your system starts to lock up, and you start to look like you're holding on to stuff, like in your shoulders and your whole demeanor and all that stuff. And she talks about, you gotta let that shit go. Literally, you will start to move. Your bowels will start to move more regularly when you start to let stuff go. If you're locked up and tense, of course you're not flowing and eliminating. So these other things like cleanses and all of this stuff that's spiritual, but people don't, consider it until they are told by the Western medicine that they have some sort of physical manifestation of their spiritual sickness. Then they start to do the cleanses and the colonics and the what do you call it? There's a word, enemas and all that stuff, when it's medically necessary, where you have like spiritual retreats and stuff where they're putting that into the practice. It's like don't be a 16th century person closed-minded to the fact that you can actually get a jump start on your healing. You can take the driver's seat to your healing. If you're looking at it as impossible or not worth your time or silly or not scientific, then you're just in the 16th century, period. Because this has already been proven. No one's here to convince the 16th century person. We're here to say, that because we know the advancements that we have in the 19th and the 20th century that would have been seen as completely impossible to the 16th century thinker, we are now today moving forward from this day forward, proclaiming that we are not going to be 16th century thinkers when the time is to think forward. The time is now to expand our consciousness so that we're not like the last one to catch up to what could have been a big a leap for us forward in our individual lives and collectively. I'm really going to get past this sentence. I promise you. I promise you. Here we go. Let's do it. They are registering a world of phenomenon, often astral, sometimes mental, and occasionally egoic, which does initiate them into a new dimension of consciousness and into a different state of being. This expansion of consciousness serves both to encourage them in their endeavor and to complicate the way of the aspirant. So that's interesting. Expanding their consciousness serves to encourage their endeavor and to complicate the way. This growing sensitivity is universal, hence the rapid growth of spiritualism and of the psychic sciences, and hence also the increase among men of nervous tension or of neurotic conditions and of the greatly increased problems of the psychiatrists, hence also the spread of new nervous and mental diseases. This is definitely happening. This sensitivity is the response of the mechanism of man to the approaching developments, and the race as a whole is being brought into a condition wherein it will be ready to see and hear that which has been up to the present unrevealed. And this doesn't even have to be like, oh, I'm seeing aliens or I'm seeing ghosts. This can be as simple as, oh, I'm listening to these lyrics and I'm seeing that this is repeating a phrase that is telling me something that is harmful for my system. Imagine I am that plant and you are putting the headphones on and you are blasting the lyric into me. Kesha, how she says in that song, she did not want to sing those lyrics like we're gonna die young. We're gonna die young over and over again. She did not want to see those lyrics. Whoever her handlers were said that that was the lyrics that she needed to say. Look at more of the lyrics that we are surrounded by. I don't care what anyone wants to say about conspiracy or the industry, but it is a observable fact that we have that song that I even love. What is it? The new one by Doja Cat. Oh, she a rebel. She a bad little thing. She a devil. Put a foot to the pedal. You know, it take a whole lot for me to settle. And I looked at the video, and she's like really, literally riding on a demon, and she got her body in black and red paint and all this stuff. I'm like, and on the lyrics, she's having you repeat the things over and over again. You're like, all right, well, what am I programming my consciousness with? I'm seeing and I'm hearing for the first time. You go through the comments, you're pouring through it. Everybody's like, oh, this song is so good. This song is so good. They are not seeing and they are not hearing that this is affecting their unseen world. But that veil is dropping or lifting, however you want to see it. So where some of us have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, which is a common phrase in the occult. So as we are evolving, we are seeing and hearing the things that are around us and have been around us forever in a different way. Just because our consciousness is now beginning to question that which we have been accepting in our sleep state. The growth of the color sense and the capacity to respond musically to quarter notes and subtle nuances indicate a thinning of the veil which separates the world of external and tangible phenomena from that of subjective being and of more subtle matter. There was a talk by actor Terrence Howard recently talking about this, music tones and the frequency vibration, which I've been meaning to finish watching. It's fascinating. He was just going in and I was like, wow. And he's working with an actual, a doctor or scientist or someone to like map all this out. Looked really cool. Terrence Howard. The growth also of etheric vision and the largely increased numbers of clairvoyant and clairaudient people are steadily revealing the existence of the astral plane. The astral plane is also like where our emotions go and all of the dream realm. So that's the realm that's just above this, where we are sending, anything goes. And you can pick up when you astral travel or travel through that realm, people's good or people's bad. When people go into meditation and you're calling on information or you're allowing anything to come in, that's why you have to have your shields up. You have to know how to discern. You could be taking in good advice or you could be taking in bad advice. Who are you listening to? Who are you connecting with? You need to know how to maneuver in these realms. There's levels to this. It's consciousness. So people are steadily revealing the existence of the astral plane and the etheric counterpart of the physical world. More and more people are becoming aware of this subjective realm. They see people walking around who are either the so-called dead or who in sleep have dropped the physical sheath. They become aware of colors and distinctive hues and streams of organized light which are not of this physical world. I really want to go see the aurora borealis or the northern lights and all that, how that works. That's something going on cosmically. We just have these dancing lights, and now more and more we're getting these crazy skies, these very deep red and pink skies that look like plasma. The planets in the world that we're orbiting through are shifting, and we're seeing these different colors and these different spectrums. And I guess this is also happening as above, so below. People are seeing different auras and hues in different people, or around different people, I should say. And yeah, it's all part of it. Organized light, not of the physical world. They hear sounds and voices which emanate from those who are not using the physical vocal apparatus and from forms of existence which are not corporeal. Not using physical vocal apparatus. This is also part of that reading minds, reading energy. So we talk about a period in the beginning before we had speech. People were able to communicate without using these words. Now we've created this buffer where we have to use these words in this language to communicate to other people, where we learn about the Sapir-Whorf syndrome and the fact that you learn about, sociologists, that the vocabulary that we have frames the way that we see the world. Like they talk about the Eskimos that have dozens of words for snow, and we only have this one word to describe it. The way that we describe the world and the detail that we have, the tools at our disposal being our language, is sometimes at a deficit. So you think back to a time where we were able to communicate without using language that could be very much more spiritual, just like we're talking about transferring thoughts without having to communicate with a person, reading thoughts, reading someone's energy, reading someone's vibration, or just, if that sounds too woo-woo, it's like literally I can be in a conversation with you and I can notice when your body language has shifted, which I'm very sensitive to. I can notice when your body language has shifted based on what I've said or based on what another person says. I drive people crazy around me because of this too, because it's very unconscious. People will seldom want to even admit it, that you've said something that they have maybe unconsciously disagreed with, and their body language will close off, or a leg will cross away from you, or you'll look at two other people connecting and their body language is towards each other, or one of them sets each other off. By coming more in tune and acute with these different signals, we can actually learn the unspoken language of a person. And I can pause in the conversation and say, oh, did I say something that kind of upset you? Or was that not cool? Or did I not explain that properly? Or can we go back to that moment where something shifted and get back to a place of connection and actual unity? Because I have now seen the unseen when it comes to this person that I'm communicating with. This opens the door for a deeper bond. Whereas before, when we didn't have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, and the language skills, to the perception to pick up on these unspoken cues, our relationships are a lot more flat. Our relationships are a lot more surface level, I should say, superficial. The first step towards substantiating the fact of the soul is to establish the fact of survival, though this may not necessarily prove the fact of immortality. it can nevertheless be regarded as a step in the right direction. That something survives the process of death and that something persists after the disintegration of the physical body is steadily being proved. If that is not so, then we are the victims of a collective hallucination, and the brains and minds of thousands of people are untrue and deceiving, are diseased and distorted. Such a gigantic collective insanity is more difficult to credit than the alternative of an expanded consciousness. This development along psychic lines does not prove the fact of the soul. However, it only serves to break down the materialistic position. It is among the thinkers of the race that the first assured recognition of the soul will come, and this event will be the result of the study and analysis by the psychologists of the world and the nature of genius and the significance of creative work. Creative work, all those creative people out there, it's going to become more important and imperative that we have creative people, people that understand music, that understand those notes, that uplift people, that fuel the soul to combat this industry devil that's literally trying to distort. You'll have music in movies. It's a big one, another one. They'll do these long scenes. What is that movie that just came out on Netflix that was executive produced by the Obamas, Michelle and Barack Obama? It's so random. It's the Leave the World Behind. And there's this loud tone that comes out, and it is crushing and causes people's teeth to fall out and stuff like that. These signals, these sounds, what's coming towards us, we need to be aware of sounds and music and arts and the way that you can transfer and counteract these energies that are causing to separate, distort, and hold people down, to break down your consciousness so we don't come together. Because the fear of this energy that doesn't want the awakening is trying to scramble and push harder to keep the sleep going, the sleep state going. And again, people who are creatively inclined are especially helpful in their ability to counteract that. The significance of creative work. Some men and women in the world tower above their fellow men and produce that which is superlative in its own field. Their work has in the element of divinity and of immortality, has in it the element of divinity and of immortality. The work of creative artists, the intuitive perception of great scientific investigators, the inspired imagination of the poets of the world. Sorry, that made a sound. That was really loud. The inspired imagination of the poets of the world and the vision of the illumined idealists have all to be accounted for and explained, for the laws under which such men and women work have yet to be discovered. The close study by the psychologist of the abnormal and the subnormal, of warped and distorted minds, and of defective equipments has been overemphasized. We've been focusing on what's wrong. What is mentally unstable, and why is the person this? You understand the people that have been doing the psychological experiments have been using them to dissect us and work against how we tick, right? Studies need to be done. Everything just needs to be balanced, right? So we need to balance the scale. We need to do psychology studies and things that understand like the magic of what makes a mind a genius, or what makes a mind musically inclined, or what makes a mind psychically sensitive and able to pick up on the unseen realm. So while distortion and defects have been overemphasized, due attention has not been given to the divinely abnormal and to the, I love that, divinely abnormal, and to those types of consciousness which transcend the ordinary human state of intelligent awareness. These latter supernormal states find expression through the medium of the great artists, musicians, dramatists, writers, and the many other types of creative workers who have been the glory of the human kingdom down the ages and who will flame forth during the coming century with greater glory still. Amazing. I'm going to pause right here, and we're going to pick this up again in the next one because I think this is getting long. Let's see where we are. 39 minutes, not too bad. All right. Yeah, let's call it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you're doing well. And if you celebrate, you have a good holiday season up ahead. And I will see you in 2024, which again is not a new year. It is the new year of the Gregorian calendar, right? But this is actually still the end, the dying off. The leaves are falling off the trees and everything. This is time to be focusing on how we're closing out the year through March, when the leaves spring again, through Aries season, and when the astrological calendar starts again. But for now, we'll play along, right? Happy New Year. All right, take care. I'll see you in the next one.